Thanks for joining.
Yeah, man. No, it's
Dude,
great.
you and I guess we sort of go way back.
I think you were one of the first personalities I started studying in automotive, man.
Oh, that's scary.
Gotta be 12 or 13 years. No, Dealer Refresh, man. I came into the industry in '06 and wanted to learn a lot. And, Dealer Refresh was an awesome resource. And then I can't remember how we met.
Neither can I. It was before. Actually, we had signed when I was at the dealership. Well, ironically, this dealership. We had signed up with our service marketing piece.
Yeah, you were not a revenue customer, man.
Yeah, it was Auto Revenue. That's who we signed up with. And I swear the salesperson's name was Jamie something.
Oh man, I can't believe we're 3 minutes into this call.
Jamie, I don't remember his last name, but
Jamie Rellis. No,
yeah, that's right. Boy, he was a sales guy. There's no but he was good. He did a good job.
Good products,
great product.
Good.
Yep, got the dealership signed up for it, and then Dominion purchased or acquired Auto Revenue, and then that's when we met.
So I took over Auto Revenue in 2008.
Yeah.
Great founder, a guy named John Miller, had taken it pretty far. He stayed on post-acquisition like 3-4 years and did great. But that was my first, kind of general management ship, and had a really talented group of tech folks. I mean, we built all our own products. Our own sales team taught me a lot. And the support team in Western Massachusetts, man, those guys were workhorses, did a good job.
And then after that, you came up, which I want a little bit of credit for this, and I've never been given true credit. Don't laugh,
dude.
For Prime.
Michael Sosa's laughing right now.
Yeah, yes. I want some credit for Prime. You came up with the whole Prime, which was the whole reputation management piece, and we jumped on board, because you were there.
So you did the aha moment for that product, which was a fantastic product. It is.
I think the aha moment for that product was when you and I had a long discussion on the phone at one point.
No, not quite. Technically, I went to the Greater New York Dental Convention in New York City.
Right. Yeah.
And I saw some dentists doing some things, because sometimes Auto Revenue service reminders and dental reminders, people, kind of thought, hey, we're doing the same thing. And I saw them doing some stuff that was getting indexed by Google. And from there, I started having a lot of conversations, hey, how can we do this? What's interesting? And as you know, Jeff, I mean, you're one of the first guys I've talked about any idea with, including trade pending.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give you credit where credit's due. You probably told me it was a stupid idea, just like trade pending. No, you didn't. I think you liked it out of the gates and kind of got it. And Prime was a lot of fun. Very.
Yeah, and we still use it here.
Do you? Good.
Oh, yeah. Yep. No, I'm still a big proponent of that product. I mean, anything, when it comes down to reputation management, I think, if you can just get your foot in the door and find a great company, I mean, speaking of, we've got a great sponsor of DealerRefresh, Podium, and they're really big into reputation management.
Yeah, man.
Really great things. And what I really like about that company is they do some things outside of the automotive industry. Mm-hmm. It's funny. I was on their website just the other day, and I saw that they work with Vivint, which is an alarm company. And I use Vivint to for our alarm on our house. And I was like, man, these guys are everywhere. So anything reputation management, that's always ever since I had that first conversation with Chip over at DealerRater, I was like, the first time I saw a review for our Benz dealership online, again, 15 plus years ago, I'm like, what is this shit?
So what's interesting about that and trade pending is I think the inspiration points, have come outside of automotive. As we, live every day and work with dealerships, we learn the problems, try to solve them. But it's a lot of fun to pick your head up and say, all right, what are other people doing? Such as dentists.
Yeah.
And if you listen closely, you can kind of see where some dealers should go. The reputation field had already been, started with Chip over DealerRater. This is an interesting fact, actually. So Auto Revenue used to do those instant feedback summary reports. Remember those?
Oh, sure do. Yeah.
CSI stuff. And
well, I didn't use those because I don't believe in putting. That was the filter. That was the questionnaire, the email that would go out, ask a few questions, and then I think it would ask 1 or 2 questions, and then would decide, were you going to put this customer on a review site, or were you going to keep this internal? And I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I hated that, matter of fact. Like, and I remember, I think you and I had that conversation. I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want that product. We're going to, we want reviewed honestly. We don't want any filter in between the customer's review and the dealership. Nothing in between. It
was kind of stark though, man, when DealerRater was around. I think they've been around 5-6 years, and they were celebrating their 100,000th review, which I'm sure is probably funny for them to think back to as well.
Sure.
And I went to my tech guy and I said, hey man, how many of those instant feedback summary things did we get last month? And he came back and said, I don't know, man, I've never really counted it, but he came back and he said about 50,000 just in 1 month. And Auto Revenue certainly wasn't, working with, tens of thousands of dealerships.
Yeah.
It kind of tied together the power of being proactive at getting feedback.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine a dealership today, just like right now, getting into reputation management. I mean, obviously they should if they haven't up to this point, but like, it's 10 years old, man. Like, really? It's weird.
Foundation of social media is.
Yeah. I mean, get on.
A lot of places in America you haven't been to then, Jeff.
I know. I mean, I'm outside the DC metro area, so, but you're right. There's still a lot of dealerships out there that haven't adapted to any.
Yeah, come visit in Vermont.
God, that's insane. Yeah, that's just weird. But whatever. Well, it's almost like having a trade appraisal piece on your dealership website. Your dealership website.
Well, I'm curious to hear how that, how trade pending was formed outside of automotive.
There you go, Brice.
Or the ideas for it.
I mean, we've all got good ideas, and I do think it comes down to execution. But I'll point out, first of all, the immediate challenges when you quit your comfortable job, and you then start a venture, and then you call a good friend like Jeff Kershner, who's super super smart, say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. And Jeff said, holy shit, the world does not need another trade tool, Brice. So luckily it's gone.
It was good advice though.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm not going to make just a normal trade tool. I'm going to do something completely different.
And to be fair, you were probably thinking of an appraisal interrogation tool.
Oh, I love that term.
Exactly. He was thinking of licensing some aged book value data or something like that. But to your question there, Alex, I mean, there's quite simple other industries to look at when you want to understand how you value something. So think about your
house. The pawn industry.
Yeah, like the pawn industry, or the bond industry, or stocks and stakes. When you're understanding value of something you're purchasing or selling, you look to comps and you look to information, right? You don't trust the word of, say, your realtor who gives you information but said, your house worth $250,000. Well, the guy across the street just sold his for $300,000.
And the city thinks it's worth $2.5 million. So
you look at Zillow, and if you look at Zillow, it's giving you comparable data and information. And so at the core of it, I looked at the way that consumers and dealers are interacting around the value of a trade is pretty archaic. It hadn't changed in 100 years. It was very non-transparent. It was very closed-ended. You still had to ask, ignorant questions such as condition. What kind of consumer knows how to answer that? And so those were good inspiration points. And foundationally, kind of our market report, really is our company. It's our product. And oh, by the way, that's
Also why I see a lot of digital retailing solutions working with us through our API, because, we can produce more information than just here's a number, trust me, it's good. Even if it's guaranteed, come on, guarantee, that's not comforting. I want to know information and then I can tell you if it's good or bad, That's part of the inspiration.
Well, I'm not sure how many people listening in have looked at trade pending the whole way through. And before we go there, maybe we should take a step back and talk about the norm of what's out there, the appraisal interrogation tool, as we sort of dubbed it on the forums this morning. Who was it? Somebody needs credit for that. That was George.
I thought that was you.
No, I just quoted George.
Wow.
But I pulled it out. It was such a great term.
I
know. How do you pronounce his last name? Is it
Ninny?
Ninny? Okay.
Yeah, George. Yeah, sorry.
Yep. George Ninny. There we go. All right. So yeah, how many dealers do you think on a percentage nationally still use like just a Kelley Blue Book or Black Book plugin on their website?
So technically I have that exact number.
Well, you want to go approximate?
So if you look at the basic tool, right, the old school tool, that's close to probably 4,000 or 5,000 dealers, just with that brand that you mentioned. Black Book, who's had a singular position with GM, probably has second most, at about, call it 3,000, 4,000. Then you've got, the other book value, tools like Edmunds, they're fairly far down there, but we've now captured, just in 42 months in the market, we're in almost 2,000 stores now.
So sorry, Brice, you're a little faded. We'll get you to talk a little closer to your microphone.
Is that better?
A little bit. Might need to adjust the gains again.
Yeah, I'll go back and do that.
But it sounded like you said it was roughly about 4,000 dealers per company that offers an appraisal interrogation plugin.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I slid back down. Is that better?
Oh, there you are. Yes. Hi, welcome back, Brice.
I don't know why that went down. Yeah, and as I promised, I'm going to share my screen just because there's things I do, and I won't demo those other products. People know them. Frankly, it's similar to what you've seen on a tax form. How do I get this big bar away?
Just slide it over.
Okay, that's good. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen here?
Sure can.
By the way, you're pretty good for a Zoom version.
Yeah, well, it's not too bad. I've used worse. But the average dealership, I think, first of all, and a good topic to talk about is what kind of calls to action do you put on your page? So I'm staring at a home page. I'm a consumer. Maybe I've just landed on an SRP because you're doing some model advertising. And as I look at sites, every day, I judge, calls to action. But I don't think that people actually calculate, the effectiveness of calls to action and what really consumers, want. So one of the core pieces, and thank God this panned out the way it did. But this is a study that we've done since day one, literally 4 months before we launched. I ran this survey and just asked, consumers, hey, if you go to a dealer's website, what kind of things do you value? Well, number one's looking for cars, of course. Yeah. What do you have? What are they priced? The number two, research the value of your car, the trade. So with this, if you ever ask the dealership that's not our customer, though, they didn't see that in their leads. In the CRM, they're seeing their book value tool plugged on one random page, under the finance tab, and it's producing 10, 15 leads a month. And that's the sixth or seventh, largest source of leads. So that gave us, a really, a lot of inspiration about, the technical challenge as well of using old iframes and really unfriendly mobile experiences, for consumers. So here we are. Simple call to action, value your trade. Oh, by the way, it's a universal call to action. It's not, red, white, and huge savings on Camrys. Maybe I don't want a Camry. Maybe I'm here to look for a minivan. But in the end, value your trade is a universal call to action. And
God, the only call to action I see is chat.
Yeah.
Things are so friggin' distracting.
Get rid of that.
Yeah, thanks.
So as you guys have seen too, simplifying the consumer experience, is very core to what we do. And, while you're dropping down and selecting and going to page number 4, answering question number 75, with some other products, or not uploading videos. I love that when people have, take a picture of your car, upload a video of your car, as it says in the form. Nobody does that.
Yeah, I've had a couple appraisal tools on our websites before, and no one, to this day, no one does that shit. It in theory, it's amazing. Like, oh, they can upload the photos, they can do this, they can fill out the questionnaire. It's like doing Tim Traded Marketplace back in the day. Remember that? And again, my God, I was a huge proponent of that piece. I spoke on it, at the Auto Trader Internal Summit quite a few times.
That should be an amazing partner to so many dealers' programs. Trade-in Marketplace, that is.
No, it was I loved it. It was fantastic. It made sense. But, for the customer to go through the questionnaire piece online was tedious. It was a freaking headache. The reason why I liked it was the fact that it was a great showroom tool, and we used it at the dealership on the showroom. Just as we use trade pending, we use it online, but we also, more importantly, we probably get even more value from it by using it at the dealership in the showroom.
Well, and you use trade pending, because I think, we'll get to a market report eventually. I haven't used, Trade Marketplace or other tools in a showroom, but I find it a little bit misleading. It's definitely time consuming, but most of the time you're trying to figure out how to put a really low number in front of somebody and then scrape them off the ceiling a little bit.
That's always the same. But I don't know. I mean, if you use the tool properly, you market it properly, it's all about expectations and.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of ways to do it. I think you've got to figure out how to optimize what piece of your process. We lost Alex, didn't we?
I think so. It's all right.
It's all right. You got to optimize every piece of your process. I mean, you do it every day, Jeff, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to, look forward into the next quarter, what are the problems we need to solve as a dealership? Well, we need to buy more inventory, used inventory. Sourcing, that's a really good topic we should talk about. I know Alex wanted to hear about that.
What's the percentage? I mean, I'm sure you've got enough dealerships on board. You're able to see what's the percentage of trade-ins. Dealerships are buying. They're hitting the auctions. I know we go to the auctions quite a bit here. Versus trade-ins, what's that percentage like?
I got a good little chart on that actually. So raw numbers. Let's call it 17 million new car SAR. About 12 million used vehicles retailed each year by franchise dealerships, a little over 7 million trades taken in by dealerships.
Okay.
This is the really interesting slide. So I studied NADA data since 2006 when I got into the industry. And I'm telling you, if you ever want inspiration on ideas, just look at the data around this thing, because as we, have seen, the time and effort and innovation around wholesaling and purchasing used vehicles from auction, the fact is that 70% of used vehicles retailed by franchise dealers came from consumers, and 66% came from consumer purchases, or I'm sorry, trade-ins from consumers. So what piece of the pie are you focused on, with all your time and attention in the dealerships?
Yeah, that's a larger number than what I thought.
It's been unchanged for a decade. If you look back at.
Why is that though? I mean, is it because we focus as a dealership? We just focus on what we're buying versus what we're trading in? Yet we know when we trade something in, we're going to make more money off of it. A lot of times the trade-ins are vehicles. I mean, if you're at I wouldn't say a metro dealership, but a small town or, town dealership, that a lot of those trade-ins are local vehicles. And, you know what the service history is, especially, being at a Benz dealership, we get cars traded in all the time, and they're Benz, and, it's easy for me to pull a history on, because they've had all their services done here at the dealership. And for me, I was like, we can offer more for that vehicle, but more importantly, we don't have to recondition it as much as we would have a vehicle that we had to buy from the auction. So we're able to make, depending on the market, we can make a few more bucks on it.
You get a customer with a trade, which is, immeasurably valuable. You don't get a customer at the auction. You try to fill some gaps maybe with wholesale vehicles, but the fact is that, the retail environment for used cars is all about sourcing and having conversations with customers who are driving cars. It's the biggest market for cars, is the owned market.
Yeah.
So, I think there's just obviously, a lot of opportunity to help dealerships, improve trade conversations, talk to used cars. And by the way, if dealers aren't going to do it, the new guys are going to do it. Where's Carvana going to get their cars?
Where do they get their cars?
Where's CarMax getting their cars? Carvana, they're going to certainly try to source from consumers as much as possible. Today, I'm fairly certain they get a lot of their vehicles from wholesale, and they're moving around the country just like CarMax.
Do you have any numbers behind that?
No, I don't. But they're public, so I'm sure we could look it up. True. They're more valuable than lithium, which is just insane for me to even measure. How is Carvana more valuable than lithium? Lithium is pretty
awesome. Not really sure. That's it's fake news.
It is. But back to trades, man. It's an underappreciated point of marketing. It's a great call to action. I've already talked about the universal call to action, and I do have a ton of data that shows how attractive that call to action can be.
What other data do you have?
So I was digging around this morning thinking what you and Alex would be surprised with. Surprising is always good. And this is just a cool slide. Look, there's consumers over here, dealers over there, and there's a little divide here. But I just mentioned marketing campaigns. Check this out. Here's a client in Canada that built out a singular page site, valuemycar.ca. A little bit of content, mainly Snap's the name of the product.
How are they advertising this?
So that's where it gets interesting. The only traffic that they send to valuemycar.ca is Conquest direct mail. And you're now looking at the back end of our system. It's pretty cool. And this will show you all you need to know about the data. So let's take a look at for the month of May. And I don't know how much direct mail they've sent each month, but I'm pretty sure it's a steady flow. Call it 10 to 15,000 pieces. This is Conquest pieces too. So the dealership that they represent, they're scrubbing out their customers and not sending it to them. And it's probably a little small. I'll try to zoom in. Call it 10 to 15,000 pieces. They had over 3,670 unique people come to that site for the month of May. Okay. 2,600 folks started typing. 2,400 folks selected a vehicle, and they had over 1,000 leads, almost 1,100 leads just from that site, just from Conquest direct mail, just for the singular month of May. And so
all direct mail, and the direct mail piece is all about your trade-in.
The direct mail piece looks exactly like this site. That's what I saw. Isn't that wild? So if you start looking at percentages, 24% of the people that came to that site converted into a lead. In the end, of course, to get a value, you've got to answer the magic question: who are
24% of the direct mail piece?
24% of the visitors that
from the direct mail
in
piece.
this URL.
All right.
Heard it. And so
it's not too shabby.
No, not too shabby at all. Cost per lead, cost per visitor, cost per anything. This is a Canadian example. But this is the kind of cool testing that some of our customers do. That we learn from, and we're trying to figure out how to productize, share best practices, and do lots of different things in our industry. But here's one cool thing: the form completion rate. For this month, this store averaged 38% form completion rate, which is the percent of people that started the process that completed it. By the way, 68% of those leads were from people on a phone.
So I'm looking at almost 40% that completed the form mobile.
Yep.
That's a pretty big number.
So
for mobile, I mean, what makes your piece so easy to fill out on a mobile device to get that type of percentage?
Well, I think there's two things, and I'll give my competitors a little tip if they haven't already picked up on it. But the number one, having a dealership branded tool.
Yeah.
Not a third party portal.
Yeah. No one knows who Trade Pending is on the consumer side.
Consumers can come to my site and learn about what we do, no problem. But I'm not a third party shopping portal, and I can go to KBB and get a report from KBB without ever giving my information. So right there, number one, consumers are going to complete my process more because the only place they can get this information is through our partner dealerships. Number two is designing your experience, appropriately for mobile. So let's assume we're recording here. I don't know if we are.
Not anymore.
No, that's all right. Anyhow, when you do look at products that are demoed, I love showing browser views, but the fact is that a majority of our traffic as dealerships is coming from this type of view, right? This is the responded view of that site. And what you'll notice is on our mobile selection opportunity, it literally is 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks. There's a 2014 Bentley Musane. How about that? And that's it. So we tested type ahead versus hitting buttons multiple times on mobile, and buttons and big thumbs work out every single time. And then here's where my competitors should listen, but luckily we're not recording, so maybe they're not.
We are live.
Well, it is recorded on Facebook, so.
Well,
Hey, I am lying a little bit there, maybe.
a little tip, and I know you probably can't see it all that great, but that's kind of beside the point. I did a blog a year and a half ago when Apple made some updates.
I remember you wrote that article for DealerRefresh.
This is a really big deal. So on my mobile device, now that it forces you to associate yourself, to fill out a form, it's Brice, it's Englert.
Yeah, you can choose.
And, it literally is 3 actions of your thumb. It's almost easier. So Chrome Auto Settings obviously has form fill, but the technology, your website, the forms, your chat tool, everything has to tell the browser to do that correctly with mobile Safari. And so if you're using a third party for anything, finance app, anything like that, and they don't have mobile form automation completion set up, then please dump them quickly. They're not helping at all.
So change it up a little bit. I mean, why do dealerships sort of fail with the trade and appraisal lead?
So
we do. We suck at
it. We train hundreds of people every month, and it's about a 10-minute process. And what we immediately find is that it's not a trade first conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jeff, I'm on your website. I've submitted you a trade lead, and it has me and my car, my 2015 Audi A4, or whatever it may be. And now you've emailed me, some autoresponder about selling me a car. That's not the call to action that I agreed to engage you with. So the talk tracks behind a trade first conversation are not developed in BDCs. People are not doing it. The templates are set up in the CRM. And from all of our experience and working with some really good BDCs, we understand the absolute best way is say, hey, Jeff, tell me more about your Audi A4.
Oh, okay.
You know, you got a story, your car has a story. You know, I'm going to pretend that I care, although I do, because I want to buy that car. I should care, you know, and you're probably going to tell me in that story when you're going to replace it, why you're going to replace it, what your wife thinks of it. And those are all your closing cues.
So that should be the response.
Tell me about your car, you know, and I think that dealerships have been beholden to the old way, or the book value way, where now I'm gonna debate you over condition. You know, you're already like, oh shit, man, he's got a KBB report. He says his car's clean. We know it's not clean. Now I'm gonna have to figure out how to, you know, debate you as to why your car is in good condition.
Your presence is your leverage. I gotta hate that term.
So basically, Brice, what you're saying is what makes for a good trade conversation is simply to basically be a good salesperson and have a conversation with somebody and listen.
You know,
Listen.
if
that's crazy.
I'm glad I could drop some knowledge on this. You know, what we try to do is tee up, you know, BDCs with links on vehicles, you know, that, you know, I'm running one of our market reports. But this is germane to this point, because when a BDC handles our lead, they can click a link and they can view one of these reports that the consumer just saw. Let's say that the consumer just ran this report and they've got, you know, this 2010 Ford Fusion with 135,000 miles. Well, if you look at this, all the talking points are defined on this report to be able to relate to the consumer. You know, hey, Jeff, God, yeah, there's quite a few of your car within 250 miles. Looks like you've driven the wheels off of it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. What are you looking at getting into next? What'd you like about it? What'd you not like about it? And oh, by the way, don't try to lease me a car. I'm putting 20,000 miles in this vehicle every month. Versus, what are you going to say to this guy, Jeff? Wow, best looking Ford Fusion I've seen in a long time. You may have noticed it's the third lowest miles car around within 250 miles. I have to buy that car. Don't care if you're going to buy one from me. This is the type of vehicle we're looking for every day.
You know, Brice, I love this graph, and it's easy for somebody like me to read, and we're all, you know, any of us who've been auto users for many years would be quite accustomed to something like this. Do you mind putting your screen back up, though?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Because my actual favorite part on that page is below. Right there.
Ooh, imagine
I love that.
Yeah.
That is full-on transparency.
Scary word in automotive, though, Alex.
Well, that's how you do it. Here are the numbers.
Doesn't a customer go, reconditioning? My car doesn't cost $1,200 in reconditioning. Get out of here.
You know, go look at my used cars in the lot. They all have new cars.
Yeah, I know that. I know it costs that much. More than that.
Yeah, there could be a little more of a story there, to your point, Jeff. But as far as coming up with the numbers, and let's say you're on the phone with somebody, this is very easy to walk through and explain to.
Yeah, it can be. True.
You know,
whereas there used to be a tool, and I apologize, I might be speaking over you, Brice. I'm having a great time on vacation. I'm back down in Cox country. Yay. And I'm having all kinds of fun with the internet connection. Isn't Cox so wonderful? But right now I'm back on AT&T LTE and life is good. So, except it's more expensive. But where was I going with that?
I don't know.
I totally lost it. I had a point there. It'll come back to me. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, man. I guess I'll share my screen again until it comes back to you.
Well, we were talking about transparency.
There's 2 points to this. You know, transparency is a fun thing to debate. You know, and we've delivered. I mean, guys, I'm telling you, probably 1 million leads by now. I think we had 90,000 leads last month. And you know how many complaints I had from dealerships about this section of the report? Zero. You know, and 4 years ago, I walked into some stores. They said, "You're nuts. I don't want to give anybody any information." And that happens very rarely today because the consumers are going to get the information anyway. They see their car on your lot.
Yeah.
$9,300. So why are you only going to give me $6,200 or whatever?
Oh, how many customers trade in the car that they know that the dealership's going to put back on the lot, and they jump back onto the dealership website to see what they're listing it for? It happens all the time.
Happens every day. And let's face it, this number, by the way, which is the national average, this is the average dealer net profit per used vehicle retailed. Look at NADA data 2017 mid-year report. It calls this number out specifically.
Well, if that's the number, why would anyone want to sell a used car?
Well, I mean, it kind of happens to be a volume business, if you haven't noticed, and if I run a business, and if I could do that number 100 times for what percent of my business is just used car profit? I got back end, I've got new car, I've got service, I got parts, I got all sorts of other profit centers in a dealership that I can work with. And so I think that this number is reflective of the fact that it is a customer acquisition game. And the more vehicles we can buy, the more vehicles we can sell, the more opportunities there are to feed other profit centers as well. So, I mean, this thing.
Well, Brice, do you know if this number is looking at total net profit on used cars, including wholesale?
So this is the only looking at vehicles that are
retail. There it is. Okay.
By franchise dealers. Yes.
Okay.
So if there's some loss makers in the used vehicle department, then that would affect, or money makers even, then that would affect kind of the overall departmental profitability. But on a per vehicle basis, this number is often unbelievable to many folks I talk to. But you know what? We talk gross every day, right? How many? Yeah, man, I get 3,000 a copy, and the average gross globally is only $2,300 on used cars. And if you talk to 9 out of 10 dealership employees, they think they're doing great because they're grossing vehicles. But as we all know, gross is a lot different than net. And once I do put in that recon cost, once I do have it sit on my lot for 45 days,
after you pay people,
once I actually pay people and lights and things like that, then yeah, there's not a lot of money in that individual vehicle. The game is, oh, by the way, this box. Supply and demand determine value. That's how we designed the report. But this is the most interesting box for me. Most people would not agree. But this Ford Fusion, the average days on market for this trim level of the Fusion is 15 days. It's a 6 out of 10. 10's hot, 1's not. But let's talk
if it's merchandised and priced right.
Correct. So we update
put that $1,200 reconditioning into it.
Exactly. It's interesting if you let's do we're going to look at a Ford Fusion Sport all-wheel drive.
I would think that the all-wheel drive wouldn't be that desirable in New Bern.
That one sells on average in 6 days. This is a national average. We're not looking at just regional data quite yet. That's in the works. But my point is, if you take let's look at like a 2012 Accord or something like that. As consumers have a few choices, right? They can trade their car, they can sell it themselves on Craigslist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just not going to get lucky today. But let's assume that we get 28 or 30 as one of the averages on one of these vehicles. Instead of taking your chance and having your car sit on your driveway for the next 3.5 weeks, let's talk about the benefits of trading. How that can reduce your taxes, how simple it can be, and that's really kind of engaging and unique content that
dealerships really, we don't use that content to help.
Right.
Yeah. Is in the direct mail piece that dealership is using, are they using that type of verbiage?
So direct mail piece is very married to the site's call to action. Find out what your car is worth. And what I do like about this, Canada is a totally different market, but this call to action, and other content is very relevant. So on the direct mail piece, free instant report based on market data. Wow. Okay. That's kind of interesting. I'm used to that with everything else I do. It doesn't take very long. Bang, bang, bang. And then of course, the solution, follows, to exactly what we just said.
Wonder what that URL is worth in Canada.
About 30% less than the U.S. No, they do some fun creative stuff. Rolling out regional sites and things like that. We support quite a few different dealerships that have pretty cool campaigning. And one topic actually to talk about as well is integrating with the website and creating black holes of analytics data with other trade tools sitting in iframes. Where is this engagement data? Yeah, I think we're the only trade tool that actually pushes all these events to Google Analytics. Very, very valuable. You can understand form completion rates just in GA.
Yeah.
And when you do look at leads, you can actually look at campaign tags and UTM codes. Here's a Facebook campaign. Click came from Facebook, converted through our trade tool on the website. And oh, by the way, that's in GA. So now you know exactly what your cost per lead was for that Facebook campaign.
Do you help dealerships set that up?
We do. We've really focused a lot of attention on getting our operations group GA certified, AdWords certified. So when anyone comes aboard, we're asking for, hey, what's your Google Analytics ID? What's your Facebook pixel? And oh, by the way, here's why we want that information.
Yeah.
Here's how we can help you. And let's face it, it's a great campaign. Used cars in demand, see how yours compares today. Low mileage cars, soar in popularity, check your value today, whatever it may be.
Cool.
So guys, I apologize again for my internet connection.
You should.
Yeah.
I know. I love apologizing for Cox. So while I was gone, did we ever get into anything along the lines of looking at the dealer's website more as an acquisition tool? Did you present any of those numbers, Brice?
No, you're talking about sourcing environment?
Correct.
Yeah, we did. We did briefly, but I don't know if you'd believe this number, but this is the slide that I showed, and I think it's always fun to look at again. This is NADA data once again, mid-year 2017 report, and 70% of used vehicles retailed came from consumer-owned vehicles, 66% from trade-in. And I think you guys had actually positioned a hey, how about a little bit of budget from over here to the internet team to run sell us your car campaigns. And if you do that, you obviously want to have a very simple and tailored environment to be able to convert that traffic, tee up the trade conversation.
So it's funny. So I mentioned before, I'm on vacation. I'm down here in Virginia Beach and staying with my grandfather, and he is the dealer principal of Checkered Flag. And we started talking about your numbers after you and I discussed this the other day, Brice. And he definitely knew that most of the cars they were acquiring at the door were what they were selling retail later. However, what he hadn't considered was the ratio of what they pay for that versus what they're spending in wholesale. So we got into some interesting conversations along those lines, and the number of spent towards wholesale is gigantic. They've got a couple of people that are paid full time to handle just online buying and even some physical buying, and of course the wholesale loss numbers and whatnot certainly play into that too. So we started talking about, hey, what if we just shifted like even 20 grand over to doing more on checkeredflag.com for vehicle acquisition, putting a little more effort in there, maybe even giving some training to the staff and things of that nature. And so I know that's a thought that's playing in his head right now, and I'm not sure how many dealers have really considered that, because 20 grand out of the wholesale budget, that's not that much for a dealership at least Checkered Flag size. And 20 grand towards the website, holy crap, that's a ton.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's pretty simple to test that theory. You know, what's 20 grand going to get you? One more car? What's 20 grand going to get you through your website? A lot, right? And let's face it. I mean, you know, who has consistently branded themselves, you know, better than every dealer in the country as the singular source to come in and learn what your car's worth? CarMax. You know, it's been in our face for like 15 years. You know, it's all every single advertisement. We buy your car if you don't buy ours. Whatever. We use the video, and they do that because it works. They don't do it because they're stupid. They do it because they're making money.
They are now. Yeah.
No question. It took a while, didn't it? But yeah.
It did, but you know, now the new guys are in town, and then, you know, the Carvanas and stuff. And so I think dealers, you know, have that opportunity now to test that theory. I was talking to a big group up in Jersey last week, and you know, their problem is that 20% of their used cars are coming from trade. Like, and he knows it's a problem. He's like, you know, we cannot get enough trades. It's a high lease environment, and consumers just won't even give us a shot at, you know, their lease vehicle. And many times, you know, you don't have to turn the lease back into the same place you leased it from. And so he's really thinking about how he can approach that, you know, in a really complex market in New England with leases. You know, bring your lease to me. We want your car.
Yeah, because a lot of consumers do believe they got to take it back to the original dealership.
There's a unique point of education. You know, could
what if you move?
Brand itself as the lease return center?
You're from the West Coast to the East Coast. You really think you need to take your car that you lease all the way back to the West Coast? Stupid. Yeah, but because a lot of consumers believe that. Yeah. So yeah, that's a unique message.
So I think there's you know, what percent of your marketing right now is trade related, Jeff?
Well, we do quite a bit of direct mail with trade.
Is that equity based?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of trade-ish. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say maybe 20+% is based on that.
I'd say you're higher than the average dealer, Jeff.
Well, you know, that's why I work here. But
but so many dealers are flooding the airwaves with messages like we pay more for your trade and things of that nature. So what is like a compelling statement that could be said to consumers to get them to actually want to trade their car in or turn their lease into you?
Well, I see those every day too, Alex. You know, they run them here locally, you know, and I don't think it's all about paying more, you know, or value. I think it's about trust and wanting to work with somebody, wanting to get somebody a shot at your car. So think about CarMax. Do they tell you bring it to CarMax because we're going to give you more?
No.
True.
What do they say?
They don't even say their pricing's good.
And it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so what they say is it's easy and it's simple. And, you know, use my market report and say, you know what, if you're thinking about selling your car, thinking about buying another one, you got to look at the market for your car today. Get educated.
Yeah.
Understand information. And in the end, that's our market report. That's our company mission. We share information between dealer and consumer to have better conversations. So I think a better, you know, and unique call to action is not, I'm going to give you $100 more than CarMax. I hear that every day, you know, here in the Raleigh area. You've just advertised to take your car to CarMax first, get their offer, and then bring it over to me. Well, that's not going to happen.
Right.
Stop
For $100.
Instead, say, you know, let us educate you. We work with used cars every day, see the market for it. Let us show you exactly how your car fits into this market and give us a chance to give you what you're looking for.
Your car might be more than you think it's worth.
You know, here's a good one-liner I'll leave with the audience too. We try to, you know, get best practices and share them. And a dealer shared to me, his kind of golden trade question. And I'll ask you this, Alex. If I could give you what you're looking for your car, would you sell it to me today?
Only if I liked you.
It's a good sales question. If I give you what you want, would you sell it to me? No. But I think it's about the conversation, Alex. I think it's also, as life cycles for ownership age, consumers are owning a car, 12 years now? How do we break that cycle? Do you think people want to drive 12-year-old cars? No.
Hell no.
You've got to shorten the process by giving them the information. Why is it easy? How can I understand, the right time to trade my car? And information is key. That's the key. If I understand everything and the process is simple, I'll do it every X years.
Be transparent.
Absolutely.
Well, we're coming up on the hour, so Brice, we definitely it's been great information.
You enjoyed it, Jeff?
Always.
We hadn't talked about your hair yet, though, by the way.
Shut up. When are you coming to Maryland again?
I would love to be up there sometime soon. Actually, I gotta pick. We got a couple new employees. I got to go ride around with one of them, and I think we should come by your place.
I think you should as well. It'd be great.
We'd enjoy that. And come hang out in Chapel Hill, man, anytime.
Of course, need to get down there.
Maybe we'll go hit your Charleston office.
Please do. No,
that sounds like fun.
It's in a really ritzy neighborhood of Charleston. So our VP of Sales, Scott Jahinko, awesome guy. He moved down there and he's been opening that office. And he kept telling me, he's like, man, I don't know if I can get the rents you're paying like in Richmond or Carborough. It's more expensive here. So I got on Craigslist and said, hey man, go check this one out. It's like $1,500 or something like that. He goes, all right, so across the street there's a strip club. Next door there's a tattoo parlor.
We're definitely going to that office.
And the Jehovah's Witnesses office is upstairs. So I'm like, dude,
that's amazing.
So yes, it'll be a good time.
You know what? You should just go visit with your neighbors upstairs, and I'll bet you'll learn a lot about selling.
For sure. Oh yeah, door to door.
Jehovah's Witnesses, yeah.
I've had personal experience working with the J-Dub crew, and they are outstanding folks. You're right. They're born to sell.
Oh yeah, they are.
Good deal. All right, man. Next Friday we'll be here.
All right. Good to see you guys. Thanks for the invite, Jeff.
You got it, bro. Talk soon.
See you, boys.
Thanks, Brice.